G'day and welcome to Critical AFL on YouTube, everybody. Today we will be exploring part 2 in our 3-part series on which West Coast Eagles to watch out for in 2025. Part 2 of the series will cover which established players returning from injury or compromise could impact the side in 2025, while part 3 will be about new inclusions from both the draft and trade periods. If you missed part 1, please click on the link provided to watch our video on emerging Eagles to watch out for. But before we get into that, if you've been following our articles or just came across this video and enjoy it, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Our presence on this platform is very new, so your support by just clicking that button will go a long way towards establishing ourselves here and being able to make more videos just like this one. So let's get into it.
So to start us off, our number one established player to watch out for in 2025 is Matt Flynn. This may seem a little controversial, but it's more of a reflection of positional vulnerability rather than anything more exciting than that. Critics of Flynn will probably note that the big man did manage to stitch a number of games together towards the end of the 2024 season without any meaningful impact. But taking a closer look, Flynn came in on the back of a pre-season that was described by many as elite before sustaining an horrific injury to his hamstring. And by the time he was available again, the team was desperate and he was playing underdone ever since. The 203cm big man is the most experienced ruck that West Coast has on their list, and when he's fighting fit, he's capable of mixing it with some of the best in the AFL, even though he's not in that elite category like the others. So just having him on the park in 2025 compared to what was available last year will offer West Coast the ability to compete aerially, especially at centre bounces, where they didn't have much depth or strength throughout the 2024 season. So let's hope that Matt Flynn comes in off a really good preseason, no injuries, and can hit the first round much better than he did last year. At number 2, we have the big O, Oscar Allen. Allen managed to get back out on the park in the second half of 2024, but much like Flynn, he was back out there underdone. He'd missed a lot of footy. He hadn't actually played for quite a while or trained because of his injury. And then when he did get out there, it wasn't the same as coming off a preseason. It was just plug and play. And you could actually see more than just that, more than that lack of fitness, there was also still soreness that he was carrying when he did play. That didn't stop him from finding the goals regularly, however. Even in his quietest performances, Allen did show his ability to hit the scoreboard. Most notable example that I can think of was his game against North Melbourne late in the season down at Hobart. Fans could be forgiven for believing he actually shouldn't have been out there after watching the first half. He looked uncompetitive quite often and seemed to be shying away from the one percenters. But then out of nowhere, he brought himself into the game late
with 3 goals towards the end of the third quarter,
before finishing with 5 in total, having a big hand in turning a late victory out of nothing in a game West Coast had really no right to win. Allen has then participated in West Coast's second batch of players to visit the world-renowned specialists in Qatar after a successful program that they had last year, which we actually touched on in our first video. And while some early rumours have alluded to his knee being significantly deteriorated from that program, if he has success with the program, then his ability to impact the side in 2025 alongside the rampaging W train will be huge. Also, on a relevant note, Allen's currently understood to be in negotiations with the club for a long-term contract extension. So I'm not sure if that'll have eventuated by the time this video is out, but the rumours have the negotiation finding middle ground somewhere between a 5-year offer and a request for even more from Allen's representation. And if that's true, you'd imagine that with full oversight on Allen's injuries at West Coast, the club's not actually concerned that his knee problems will finish his career early. As a comparison, Josh Kennedy reportedly suffered from similar knee damage while managing to play 293 games and retiring at 35.
So it can be done, and that makes Allen a prime candidate to return with impact in 2025.
Our number 3 established player to look out for in 2025 is Noah Long. A big part of Noah Long's place at number 3 on this list is the space between his best footy and then his total absence from the side for most of 2024 due to a serious knee injury. So if you rate Noah Long as much as me, then bring him back into the squad next year is a huge bonus when you compare 2024 and 2025. Long's game IQ is already one of the highest in the side. And while he isn't a big goal converter, his goal assists and contribution up the ground are a huge weapon for the squad. One of the main reasons he isn't higher up this list actually is just the inverse of Matt Flynn's value, meaning that right now West Coast appear to be stacked with talent depth in that small forward department. So the position isn't a make or break one on Long's availability, but that said, he is in every best 23 list we could make, and for someone early in their career, his best football still has a very high ceiling on it. At number 4 on established players returning from injury or compromised is Jaden Hunt, who really fits that nuanced part of this list referring to underdone rather than the complete injury section. After coming across to West Coast via unrestricted free agency, Jaden quickly established himself as one of the shining lights of the side across the 2022 and 2023 seasons during the prolonged injury crisis. In 2024, we saw a lot less of those line-breaking dashes that has made him such a valuable asset. And towards the end of the year, former coach Adam Simpson described a niggling leg injury that he had as keeping his top speed to 30 kilometres per hour, which compared to the competition is more than the AFL average. But by Hunt's standard, it was under what was described as his top speed, which was closer to 34 k's an hour, I think Simpson said, which really inhibited those trademark runs off halfback that he does. So with a full off-season of rehab and fitness, this single small detail is likely to be all it takes for Hunt to be back to his elite best in 2025, alongside a really large contingent of other players covered in this series who are expecting to carry West Coast further than they did in 2024.
Our number 5 established player returning from injury is Liam Ryan. Ryan sustained a serious hamstring injury during preseason that required surgery and kept him out of action for the start of the season. And then, once he was back and available, Ryan's impact never really came close to his electric best, with one very defining moment coming in round 13 against North Melbourne, when the Kangaroos' ruckman Tristan Sherry received high praise for nearly running Ryan down, breaking towards West Coast's 50. While Sherry's effort deserves full credit, to be fair, he was chasing down one of the fastest players in the AFL, and the leg race wouldn't have been a contest if Ryan wasn't playing underdone for pretty much the entire season once returning. Former coach Adam Simpson even commented in May of 2024 that he was just beginning to see Ryan show confidence in his hamstring at training, attempting his trademark hangers and finally clocking top speeds of 33 k's per hour. It's definitely no surprise that even after completing a full rehab, Ryan lacked trust in his body because the injury he sustained in January actually came on the back of rebuilding from missing most of the 2023 season following a round 3 hamstring injury against Fremantle back then. So now to better news. West Coast's injury crisis of 2022 and 2023 alleviated significantly in 2024, and players credit a lot of this to the new loading program they were on after the club made numerous replacements in their medical department. If Ryan can put his hamstring injuries behind him, his best football places him at the very front of West Coast's competitive small forward division. So let's hope he can get back to the form he showed in 2019, where he looked close to one of the most untouchable players in the competition towards the second half of that season. That wraps up part 2 of our 3-part series on West Coast Eagles to watch in 2025. Let us know your thoughts on the list, whether there are players you would consider for it, or just feedback on the 5 mentions. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for part 3 by subscribing to our channel on YouTube and supporting our move across to the platform.